Hey guys, AllyZieMage here, and I am going to be talking about HelloFresh today. Unfortunately, for myself, not sponsored, but fortunately for you, that guarantees that every opinion here is entirely my own and I'm not being paid to say any of this. So, real quick, HelloFresh is a subscription delivery box that has a pre-portioned amount of meals for however many people you say for however nights of dinner or whatever meal you cook it for you desire. So my personal experience with HelloFresh is for 2 people, 3 nights a week. So if you're on a budget that is a little bit expensive, unfortunately, I'm getting it right now because of the convenience of it. I don't have to think about what I'm going to be making. I don't have to plan out recipes, go to the grocery store, make sure I have all the ingredients. I don't end up with an excess number of ingredients because that usually is what happens when I go out shopping on my own to get ingredients for one recipe that I have planned out. I'll get too many ingredients because this is America and everything in the grocery store is pre-portioned out for that idyllic family of 4. So HelloFresh sends you just the ingredients that you need. They do sometimes ask you to supplement with stuff from your own pantry, so like oil, butter, eggs, all of that you're expected to be able to provide on your own. However, those are common ingredients that I feel like most households have. In this video, I'm going to go through what I've enjoyed about HelloFresh, what I don't enjoy about HelloFresh. I'll show you me cooking one meal, and it's not really me cooking, it's just showing the food being cooked and very little of me. I would consider myself probably like, as far as a home cook goes, pretty advanced. I don't measure out ingredients very often when cooking. I can cook most things from scratch that I make. I know how to make a bechamel sauce, for example, from scratch without a recipe. As far as like HelloFresh's rating, I'm an advanced cook. I can handle multiple pans at a time. I can prep and cook at the same time. I can handle something in the oven and on the stovetop at the same time and keep in mind the timing for that and make sure nothing burns. That's kind of what I've seen HelloFresh's cook rating go from, of like beginner, intermediate, advanced, is that it's pretty much how well can you multitask. Can you manage only one pot of pasta at a time without your entire house going up in flames? Or can you be running back and forth between the fridge, the stove, the oven, doing dishes at the same time, blah, blah, blah. That's pretty much from my understanding of looking at the recipes of how they rate them, that's what it comes down to. Pretty much all the advanced recipes that I've seen are just like handle some raw meat in the oven or on the stovetop while also cooking a vegetable at the same time and also potentially making a sauce at the same time. HelloFresh has provided me new recipes that I probably wouldn't have thought to search for. So it's not like, oh, I just didn't feel comfortable making it or I didn't think I would like it. It's more so, I never would have thought to use these key terms to find this type of recipe. For example, I find chicken very boring. I grew up eating chicken like 4 to 5 times a night, or 4 to 5 times a week. And yeah, I don't like chicken that much anymore because of that. I also suck at cooking chicken. It is the one meat that I, for some reason, cannot cook whole, and I must cut it up into tiny strips to make sure it is cooked. Beats me why. But anyways, there's now a couple of chicken recipes, mostly because of the sauces from HelloFresh that I enjoy, and now I don't hate eating chicken every night anymore, like I probably could, and be fine. Not going to, because I have other options, but I could. Something that my boyfriend pointed out of why he likes HelloFresh is that because we have all these ingredients and they're pre-portioned out and they're supposed to go in a certain way, he knows it's not me fucking around and maybe doing something a little weird, which I'll be honest, I do sometimes. It comes out fine though. But anyways, because this is how the recipe is engineered, he is more open to trying new things. So he's found, and he can be a picky eater mostly because of texture. So HelloFresh has helped him expand his horizons there because he's like, okay, this is how the recipe is supposed to be and this is how the meal is complete, so I will try it. And granted, there are some things he still won't eat because the texture is just too awful. But it has opened his horizon to a lot of different foods that he wouldn't have tried before. Like a couple of different vegetables. Jesus Christ, he eats vegetables like a child. But it's getting better because of HelloFresh. Another pro to HelloFresh is that their quality of food is fantastic. Their vegetables don't go bad easily. The packaging is usually pretty structurally sound. I've had something explode in the bag like once or twice before, but it's not frequent, it's not every week, I'd say it's fine. And then the quality of their meat is fantastic. If you eat meat, the quality inside HelloFresh, it's debatably better than what we could get at like a Wegmans, which is the fancy grocery store near me. It's most noticeable on their pork tenderloins or their pork chops. Usually I'm used to pork being a very tough meat because I don't cook it very often, so a lot of the times I overcook it. I'll be completely honest on that. No matter what the recipe tells me to do, I end up somehow overcooking it, that shit. But the HelloFresh pork, just like, it melts like butter in your mouth. There is no toughness to it. It is super tender. It cooks very easily. That was probably the most surprising thing that came out of HelloFresh, is that their quality of meat is fantastic. We were expecting it to be like mediocre to good, but no, it is, some of that stuff is better than what I can get at the grocery store. And I am happy about that. And then another pro is that I have next to no food waste now, which makes me very happy. I hate throwing away food. And that was one of the problems with grocery shopping on my own and then getting Misfit Market. It's that grocery shopping on my own, again, grocery stores provide servings for an idyllic family of 4. I am not a family of 4. Half the time I cook for myself and my boyfriend cooks for himself, so we buy 2 sets of groceries. And then Misfit Market was providing me all these wonderful vegetables. However, as I just said, getting my boyfriend to eat half of them was a challenge. He didn't start eating whole tomatoes until HelloFresh. And that's half of what comes, not half of Misfit Market, but it's a good selection of what's in Misfit Market. Is that everything's pre-portioned, you have exactly the amount you need. Sometimes if you're lucky there's a little bit of leftovers, but for the most part they're like decent servings. I wouldn't say HelloFresh, like I've seen reviews online saying that the HelloFresh portions are small, and I would vehemently disagree with that. The portions are comfortable if not large. In terms of how easy it is to follow the recipes and understand what HelloFresh is asking you to do, I would say personally for me, as long as you maybe glance through the recipe before you make it. Here's an example of what the recipe looks like, but each of these sections has 2 to 3 steps in them usually, and as long as you make sure to read through that entire section, not just go off of what the pictures look like, you should be pretty fine when it comes to making these recipes. I have zero problem making any of these recipes. They are, like I said at the beginning, quite easy for me. They're well within my skill set, yada yada yada. My boyfriend has made some of these recipes as well, and he isn't a bad cook. He just has to follow a recipe and it has to have pretty clear instructions. But he's not the type that like burns the house down because he tried to make a bowl of cereal. So he's had some problems with HelloFresh recipes because the pictures don't always match up with the order of instructions in that section, so they might show a picture that's actually the last step, and if you're just going off of that for referencing, if you only read the first step, you're going to get very confused. It's also not always the most clear on how to do something. It'll like kind of describe what it should end up looking like, but if you're not familiar with a lot of this cooking stuff, you might botch 1 or 2 things, but it's not going to ruin the recipe. It just won't look exactly like how HelloFresh's did. And then the other con is that, again, HelloFresh can be quite expensive, and especially if you are a single person feeding just yourself, there is no option for that. You cannot get HelloFresh for 1 person a week. You have to get it for a minimum of 2. You also cannot get it for 3 people. You must then upgrade to 4. The reasoning for this is because, I believe it's because all of their protein comes in packs of 2. And even for the recipes that aren't meat-based, so like they have a vegetarian option, those also only at minimum 2 people, but again, I think it's because all their ingredients come portioned for sets of 2. It's one of those things of like, if you don't mind eating leftovers the next day and you really want to do HelloFresh, then you can just get the option for 2 people and have 1 for dinner and 1 for lunch, or have 2 dinners and just get 3 meals a week, and you get 6 meals. Up to you. Again, it's a little pricey, but you are paying for the convenience of someone pretty much picking out your groceries for you for X number of meals a week. I consider that worth it. It comes down to about $10 a meal or so, like $11 a meal. And that is more than what I would pay for my own groceries, but less than what I'd pay for going to a restaurant, absolutely, and for the most part doing takeout. Like generally when we do takeout, it's like $20 to $30 if we're getting like fast food. So I would say it's not that bad. Another con of HelloFresh is that you have no way of really knowing if you've done a recipe before. So how it works is that every week you're defaultly assigned X number of recipes, with X being the number you signed up for. So for me, I'm assigned 3 recipes. And then I have the option of going and swapping any of those recipes or adding on additional ones if I want extra meals that week. So I get assigned 3. Usually I go to check if we've had any of those recipes before, because we save the recipe cards that come in the box. So then when we don't want to use HelloFresh anymore, we still have all their recipes. So I can go through them and be like, oh, what do I want to cook this week? What do I need to go buy for? And granted, I don't have their pre-made seasonings and sauces like their pre-made Southwest seasoning. However, on the package, it states what's inside of it because food allergies, you kind of have to do that. So it doesn't have the same, like, you don't know the ratio or anything, but again, I'm very comfortable in the kitchen. I can pretty much figure out these spice profiles and how much the ratio should be just by eyeballing it. So I'm fine with that. You can always like look online to figure out substitutions for their recipes and things like that. So I save the recipe cards. But when you go online to choose your recipes, it gives no indication if you've had that recipe before or not. So we have had a duplicate on accident because of that, and it does make me a little frustrated because I want to try new things. I want to try everything that they have to offer because HelloFresh has a very wide variety, and the great thing is that it also spans many cultures. Like it has Japanese food, it has Korean food, it has African food, it has Mediterranean food, it has Italian food, it has Irish food, it has American food. It has many cultures of food. It has a lot of Tex-Mex, which is not Hispanic food, despite what many people will try to have you believe. But yeah, so pro and con to it. Pro is that you can keep the recipe cards and pretty much do all these recipes without paying for HelloFresh again. Con is that it doesn't tell you which recipes you've done before, so you either have to go through your stack of recipe cards every time you're choosing a new recipe or try and hope that you remember them. And that's usually what I do, is I just try and hope for the best. In this recipe that I'm showing here today, I was cooking one of their salmon recipes with a sauce and potatoes and zucchini. The potatoes and zucchini are pretty much cut up how they're cut up in pretty much any HelloFresh recipe. It's always half moons for the zucchini, and for the potatoes, it's either diced potato, mashed potato, or wedge potato. I believe those are the only 3 that HelloFresh does for potatoes, which is fine. The salmon, I think, was really good quality. It is a pretty good serving. I think I would usually get a little bit bigger if I went to the grocery store to get this for myself. But again, I don't think there was anything like lacking with this recipe size. And it seared up very nicely. They had the skin on, which is great. I know my boyfriend loves having skin on fish. I recently started eating the skin with the fish, and this was a great recipe to do so with. If you haven't done that before, it's delicious. The sauce was pretty simple to make. It has a lot of elements that a lot of HelloFresh sauces have. For example, they use sour cream as their dairy element. They have you put in some butter. They use a lot of stock concentrate in little tiny packages. And then you provide the water and the butter. Pretty good sauce though. I found it delicious. It went well over the salmon. We dipped our potatoes in it. The zucchini was mostly just salt and pepper. Potatoes were mostly salt and pepper. That's a lot of the spices or the seasoning that they use on the vegetables is just salt and pepper, unless the dish itself has any other spices incorporated. And then at most you'd be putting that on the vegetables as well. And yeah, all in all, it was a really tasty recipe. It was pretty quick to put together. It didn't take a lot of skill in my opinion. And that wraps up my review on HelloFresh. I think it's a great product. I give it a 4 out of 5 if I'm rating things, which, sure, let's rate things. Yeah. If you are interested in getting HelloFresh for yourself, like I said, there is information down in the description of how you can do that, signing up with my code. You get $70 off your first couple of boxes. I get $10 off my next box. We're all happy and dandy. In the end, apparently I hit 7,000 steps by waving my arms around. Hooray. Anyways, I hope you guys have yourself a magical day. I stream 3 days a week on Twitch if you're interested in checking me out there. And yeah, it's a fun old time. If you enjoy me rambling on like this, I do a lot of that on Twitch because it's 4 hours of that and my audience is quite small still. So if you want to pop in and say hi and talk to someone, I am there on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Anyways, again, hope you have yourself a magical day, and I shall see you next time. Bye.